Hi everyone. This is Sai from LetsUpgrade. So let's talk about how to get your certificate. It's very simple. You will see two links in the description. Number one is the place where you have to go and mark your attendance. Marking your attendance tells us like, okay, you are a legit student who have attended this particular session. Link number two is your assignment. This is where your 90% of the priority is. You have to go and submit the assignment that is given to you in this particular session. Once you're done submitting that assignment, we will be evaluating that. We will send you an email. If you get the passing criteria, then only we will give you the certificate on a particular date that is mentioned again in the description. Please check these three things, and this is the way how you will get a certificate from Let's Upgrade. Number one, mark your attendance. Number two, just go ahead and upload your assignment. Check for the email that you have received it, yes or no. What is the feedback that you have received from your trainer? Number three, check on which date the certificates will be released. Thank you. Bye. All the best. Happy learning.
Cool. If you have bared with me till this point, now let us understand how to interact with these models. Okay. So, of course, our goal on day one would not be to teach you how to uh, create transformers by using programming language like maybe Python and maybe write this code to create a model, right? We are getting started. Of course, people, this is 101, GenAI 101 for everyone, right? This is just general information just to get started that what exactly is Gen AI. So Gen AI is something that generate contents. It could be image, audio, video. And how does it work? So we have realized by this point that we now know that Gen AI is mostly powered by models like transformers. Gen AI is a concept of deep learning. Gen AI learns from the training data. The training data comes from maybe a huge collection of Wikipedia pages, text documents, PDFs, notebooks, maybe all sort of blogs, digital content. We consume, we let the model train on it with a semi-supervised, or you can say in a way that the model learns to predict the next token. Okay, once it learns that, the model learns to understand the input, generate and probability by using probability generate the next thing that can be the answer to it, and if it does good, it is trained well. Okay, now so these models, they also heavily depend upon how we are giving the input to the model. Okay, so when we write an input to the model, it is known as the user prompt. Okay, but if I take you to a much more evolved platform, something like known as the playgrounds. So Google has the playground as ai.google.com slash. So this is the platform, Google AI Studio. Okay, even OpenAI has its own playground. Okay, so playgrounds, they give you much more. Of course, you need to log in with your paid account. For now, I'll be skipping it. I can log into the Google with my paid account. Okay, I mean it's free account. It's free for all. You just need a Google account. You will realize that this is much more than just the normal ChatGPT or Gemini interface. On Gemini interface, I think the maximum I can do is I can add some tools, I can change my model, and I ask a question. But in a playground, what I can do is I have a home, I have way to, okay, let's look at the right side of the screen. I have temperature to control. Okay, so what is temperature? So temperature allows the model to be more deterministic in terms of the probability usage. So for an example, if I tell you, hi, how are dash, okay, a mask, you predict what should come here. So maybe it will contain top 10 most probable answers, which is how are you, comma me, comma us, comma we, they, them. Okay, from here, of course, the array will contain top 10 most probable tokens that can fit this kind of a question, right? Fit in this kind of sentence, given that hi, how are is the previous history and the previous question words in this sequence. Okay, so if I keep temperature 1, or if I keep the temperature to the higher side, I am allowing my model to be more versatile. It will not necessarily always pick up the highest probability token, okay, which is like you, could be you for this example. It can do experiments, it can try to go wrong, but in the same way, it can add more versatile approach, it can add more risky and more you can say interesting, spicy, and refreshing way of not repeating every time, but to be new, unique, and I'll say versatile in a dynamic in a way. Okay, to be dynamic. Every time you're asking the same question, you might get a different response. Okay, so that's temperature. That's what it does for you. It allows the model to be a little free, be a little more flexible to choose even some less probable tokens to add more dynamic responses. Okay, but if I reduce the token, if I reduce the temperature to almost to the zero, it makes the model more controlled, more fine grained, that now the model will only pick the top most probable entity from the given list. Okay, so you can play around with the temperature here or there. My idea is that if you are really trying to generate some new content, okay, and you are okay with the model hallucinating some at some point, you're okay with the model being a little more creative, or you're doing some creative tasks, keep the temperature on the higher side. But if you are writing something which is professional or legal or technical, you're writing something which involves precision, you're doing something that involves minimal chances of error, keep the temperature towards the lower side. Okay, something like that. Now, exactly opposite way of controlling this is top P, which means that if I increase my top P, it will increase the threshold for any token to be a part of whether this token can classify to come here or not. Too technical, let us reduce it. Let us reduce it to simple human language. So top p ka matlab, it is something like that, passing percentage. So for example, if I keep the passing percentage as 40 percentage or 30 percentage, I will get more students who are passing my exam. Okay, but this way I could also add up increasing more garbage in the output, that some students might really not be that smart, but they still passed the exam. Now if I increase this threshold to 90% or 95%, 99%, then of course only fewer number of students will be able to pass my exam. So similarly, what topic does for me is that LLM has its own vocabulary, LLM has its own set of uh, dictionary on all the tokens it has seen in its training. Okay, now when you give it an input sequence that hi, how are you, break dash, so given this input statements, it will try to find all the words which pass threshold. Now all the words which pass this threshold are suitable to fit here. Okay, it is very similar to temperature. Only thing is that if I reduce my top p, it means I'm getting more deterministic. I'll only let one or two or maybe one or few tokens to pass my exam and be available to choose from. Okay, so you only adjust either a top p or either temperature, because even if I keep my exam lenient, even if I am letting say hundreds of token pass the exam and be available to be used, if I'm keeping temperature low, I'll by default only sort the array and pick the most probable token, right? So it doesn't anymore matter if my array contains 10 or hundreds of tokens in that given array, because I'm only going to pick index at 0, which means the most probable token if my temperature is set. So this is the reason that we need to only adjust one out of top P or temperature. Okay, although theoretically you can adjust both of them, but uh, in more rational way, it is okay to just play around with temperature. Creative होना है, temperature make it to 1. You want to be more deterministic, keep temperature towards a little bit 0. Now, here you get more fine control in a way that suppose if I explain you, there is system instruction. Now this is known as system prompt. Depending upon different companies, different vocabularies, Gemini calls it system instructions, which is like a system prompt. Okay, I can call it senior software developer. Now this is completely optional. Okay, or let us call it uh, okay, what is iconic Bollywood characters. Okay, so okay, we can take Robin Hood Pandey. Okay, let's take Robin Hood Pandey. I'll call it Robin Hood Pandey. Okay, now let us click on it. Let me take Chulbul Pandey, Salman Khan, Dabang. Okay, okay, so this is completely optional. I am telling you, system prompts are always optional, but they are useful if you want to set up a tone, style, or instruction for your model. So, for example, you have to behave like uh, Chulbul Pandey, okay, which is Salman Khan from the movie Dabang. Okay, so this will set up the mood. Okay, now which model I'm using? I'll go for anything Gemini Flash latest works. Okay, now this is fine. I can choose my models from here. So depending upon what kind of task you're trying to solve, are you going to solve image generation? Are you going to solve text generation? Again, if you're trying to do some coding tasks, 2.45 Pro is better at that. If you're going for latency, you need a quicker response, some cheaper models, some quicker models. Flashlight are better at it. Okay. Now temperature, I can, of course, it can go from 0 to 2 for this model. I can keep it to 1.2, fine by me. What is thinking mode? Okay, so this is something really interesting. Now the LLMs have evolved to a point that before generating the answer, they can do a self reflection internally of what is being asked and what is to be answered. Okay, so keep it on if you really want the LLM to get more precision, but you can disable it for chat responses which do not require a lot of thinking. Structured response is something that we will skip for this session. Okay, code execution we can skip it. Function calling is skip it. But remember, I told you that agents, they can use these things. So whenever we'll be doing a workshop on agents, okay, we will discuss these tools. How does structure respond and function calling works. These are also different tools, in fact, grounding with Google search, URL context. So if I'm passing a URL in my input chat, the LLM can actually use a tool to extract web scrape the content from the URL, take the HTML, and then make sense out of it. Okay, these are different tools available to me. Advanced settings, you don't need to adjust top P. I told you. Output length, maybe if you want to limit forcefully the model to not generate more than this amount of tokens. Add stop sequence, what does this mean? So add stop sequence simply means over here that suppose if there's a particular token that comes into the output generation, I want the model to stop there. Okay, these are few advanced settings that I can do. There are certain safety settings that I can edit that uh, adjust how likely you are to see responses that could be harmful. Content is blocked based upon it. So do you want harassment, hate, sexually explicit and dangerous content? Do you want it to be block few, block none, block most, or off? So these are some guardrails for you. Okay, now with this being said, you know what system instruction is supposed to do. You know how to choose models. You know thinking mode, you can enable or disable, but remember, thinking mode is not always available for all the models. Some models they support it. You can set thinking budget, that how much the model should think before answering. If you increase the budget a lot, it will take more for the model to respond back, more time for the model to respond back. If you keep it short, the model responds quicker, but vice versa. If you add more thinking budget, the model can spend more time in reflecting what is being asked, how it should be answered, giving you better results. A lesser thinking time would limit the model to uh, get more precise, whereas lesser thinking can introduce less complexity and less hallucination. More thinking can sometimes lead to more hallucination. So Again, what is the crux, what is the core of what I've told you, is that there is no fixed rule when it comes to solving any problem. You will have to experiment, you will have to see what is working for you. So maybe you can start off without thinking mode, then add thinking mode, then see what thinking budget works for you, play around with it, maybe go with default settings to begin with. Okay, so that's the idea. Now apart from it, what you can do is that right over here you can select maybe what exactly are we trying to do. Okay, so I'll say hi. So this is known as my user prompt. Okay, whatever I'm giving input, then we have system prompt, that I've given there. Okay, so let me run this one. Okay, now I'm running hi. Array, okay, save a conversation Google Drives, cancel news temperature. अरे कौन है वहाँ, चुलबुल पांडे नाम सुना है? हाँ मैं ही हूँ। क्या हाल है, सब ठीक? पुलिस स्टेशन में कोई गड़बड़ तो नहीं? Okay, so if you realize that this was really an interesting response that we got in a way that Chulbul Pandey would respond. Okay, now why is it coming so? Because we have given the model system instructions how it has to behave. Okay, so if I change it to you are a professional uh, developer, okay, and you help juniors write code. So if I do this, I stop it. Now if I run hi again, and if I run my prompt, you will realize, okay, I think I didn't कैसे चल रहा है डेवलपमेंट का काम, कोई एरर आ रहा है क्या, एंड जनरल साहब बताओ मैं तुम्हारी क्या मदद कर सकता हूँ. ठीक है. So this is again the way you are playing mixing with your system prompt. Okay, but if you want it to behave more like that, maybe you can just reset your model, reset your because since I'm using temporary chat, I think that's one way. But if you go ahead and create a new chat completely, you can get more into system instructions, change it, and see different type of response coming into picture. Okay, now with that being said, I think this is a great idea to help you understand how the LLMs work in terms of different UI. For example, we just covered how Google Studio works, and you can get more control. Okay, for example, just by using gemini.google.com, if you go to Google AI Studio, you can choose different models, add system instructions. System instructions cannot be added here on Gemini, but here you can add it. Temperature can be played around with. Maybe much more tools, much more settings, much more granular control, and it is in a way where I think I use it a lot. The AI Studio, then the Gemini plane. Okay, Gemini plane is more for non-tech people. AI Studio is for people who want to start off with the understanding the technical aspects of LLMs, because here you can play around with temperature and a few more things. Maybe add your tools and get things done. Okay, so now, with this being said, we talk about the art of prompt engineering. Okay, so whatever we type, whatever, be it system prompt, be it user prompt, okay, we call it prompt. Whatever we are writing in free language, we call it prompt. Okay, so as you get started in designing prompt, you should keep one thing in mind. The very first rule is that prompt engineering is an iterative process. It requires a lot of experimentation to get optimal results. Okay, using a simple playground like OpenAI or Gemini or maybe AI Studio right over here is a great starting point. You can start off with a simple prompt. Okay, you can keep on adding more elements into your prompt. So the very first thing that I'll teach you about prompt engineering is keep it simple. Second, add instructions to it. Okay, so you can design effective prompts by various simple tasks. Okay, for example, command or instruct the model to what do you want, whether do you want to write, you want to classify, you want to summarize, you want to translate, you want to order something, you want to reorder something, you want to extract something, things like that, right? So give the instruction clearly to the model. Okay, so suppose I'll tell you how would I do it. Okay, so uh, I'll do some hashtag over here. Okay, because models can understand it better. I'll label it as instruction, okay, then followed by hashtag. And now the instruction is translate the text into, says, maybe Hebrew, okay, for an example. Now then I'll give text, okay, maybe I'll say hello for an example. So the idea is, now I'll call it input, okay. And this is just one way to explain the model. What is the instruction? The instruction is to translate, okay. Now if you realize that the model said shalom, that's the Hebrew translation for hello, right? So hello means shalom, and this is in their script, okay. So pro tip for juniors is that shalom is incredibly versatile. It could at the same time mean peace, goodbye, also along with hello. So the next tip that I can give you about prompt engineering is specificity. Okay, so you have to be very specific about the instruction to the model, that what exactly are you expecting. Be more descriptive, be more detailed in your prompt. That will give you better results. Okay, so it is particularly important that you know what your desired output or your style of output is supposed to be. So let us repeat our prompt. Okay, I'll right click copy this. Copy instructions. Okay, I didn't copy it correctly. Instructions. I'll say input. I'll say uh, response format. Okay, always response in a JSON style. Okay, for example, I will say hello is equals to shalom. Okay, right over here. Now if I'll give it input word, let us call it I need water. Okay, now let's run it. So you'll realize that this is the model giving back us the JSON what we want. Okay, now of course I told you, since the translation or any of the task prompt engineering is an iterative process. So let me right click copy as text. Let me go to a new chat. Okay, paste it over here. Uh, Please do not write any text in output, just the standard JSON only. Okay. Now if I give this instruction with more specific clarity, I will get exactly what I want. Just the JSON with the input as the key, output as the value. Now I can change it to any point. Okay. Now convert it into a table with column first saying English and second as Hebrew. Okay, if I do this, I will be expecting a table, but it will retain the JSON format. Okay, you can skip the JSON format and generate a table only. Okay, and if I do this, you will realize I'll get a complete table in the Excel format. So the reason I am doing these iterations is to explain you what does it mean to be more specific. If you realize that I told the model to be very specific, that I need only JSON and do not write anything else in the output, just the JSON. It did that very well for me. Now I asked, can you convert it into a table? Okay, but I was not very much clear to the model that should I now not do JSON. Okay, because my previous attempt was to keep it standard JSON always, whatever is the request. So my request was to make it a table. So it did try, it did attempt its best to retain uh, both best of the both worlds. But now when I'm being specific that you can skip JSON format and generate a table only, it became more flexible to give me a proper table which can be exported to sheets now. Okay, that's the idea over here. So yet another tip that I can give you is that you can avoid impreciseness. What does it mean is that, for an example, whenever you are writing something, okay, uh, make it feel that your question has more clarity. For example, if I ask a question, write an essay about maybe Thailand. Okay, for example, if you talk about it, Thailand best uh, view in Krabi. Okay, so if we ask something about it, right, something like that. Okay, let's see what it's going to give us. So the ultimate vantage point, and it is giving me things like this. But if you realize, I had very different picture in my mind. The picture in my mind was that I only needed 3 paragraphs, and I didn't want to exceed 500 sentence because this was my assignment in school. Okay, so what I'll do is, maybe I'll avoid impreciseness. Okay, so what this means is that I will not fall into a trap of being too clever with my prompts, creating imprecise descriptions, but be very specific and direct and avoid impreciseness. I'll not let the model control everything from the very first start. I let the model warm up. I let the model uh, take a very simple prompt. It was a direct prompt. Now I will add more specific things what I need. Okay, I'll not overburden my prompt by making it the most precise prompt from the very first attempt. Okay, because I need to see how the prompt shapes in. So now I will add more preciseness, which is make it fit under 500 words and 3 paragraphs. Okay, now if I run it, let's run this. You realize that yes, I think this is something more what I wanted, and I became more specific, more clear with the flow. Now there are different ways in which we can do prompting. Let us discuss few of them. One is known as zero shot prompting. Actually, whatever we have done till now, all the examples that we covered on this platform are zero shot prompting. What does this mean is that we aim to get the answer in the first go itself. Okay, so for an example, let us take for an example. Okay, if I ask okay, let's think of something that is really interesting. For example, how is how does moon affect our sea? Okay, if I ask this question, okay, let's remove this for now. You realize that that's a fantastic question that shifts the geography to astronomy, the moon's primary things here and there, here and there. Okay, and this is the idea over here. Okay, now let me take up one more Gemini. Okay, uh, how does the moon affect our sea? For example, okay. Compress this answer into bullet pointers, okay, and maximum 10 points only. Okay, so if I I'm just trying to generate an answer. Okay, so suppose this is the answer that I will need. Okay, so what exactly is now few shot prompting? So suppose if zero shot is somehow not working for us, what zero shot can do is, I will provide you a format to reply. Okay, consider this example. I'll say, I'll give it a question, okay? How does moon affect our sea? Okay, I'll give it the answer also. As I'm giving it uh, some shots, some question answers to learn from how do I want the answer. Okay, now based on the provided samples, retain the response format and answer queries. Okay, so let me give it a question. Question is, okay, why does earth revolve around sun? So my prompt is very simple. My prompt is only, why does earth revolve around sun? Let me cut it for now. Okay, let me first give some shots to the LLM. Okay, now the LLM is very clear. Okay, uh, okay, now ask the question. Okay, question, why does the earth revolve around sun? Okay, so you will realize, okay, maybe the few shot didn't really work well for us in this case, but exactly what is the idea of few shot is that when large language models, uh, they demonstrate, first of all, large language models, they're really good with zero shot to begin with, but they still fall short for some complex tasks. Okay, zero shot might not really work, which is where few shot comes into the picture. Okay, my example was not really the best of the world. It was not something that I would be very proud of, but I think I was just trying to explain you what few shot does or few shot means. Okay, so for an example, I'll give you the example. Okay, so for example, if I take a prompt like this, okay, for an example, I'll write, what poo is a small furry animal native to Tanzania. An example of a sentence that uses the word what poo is, we are traveling in Africa and we saw this very cute what poos. Okay, to do a fardiddle means to jump up and down really fast. An example of a sentence that uses the word fardiddle is, okay, so see, I am making up some words. I'm making up some imaginary words. For example, what was a small furry animal native to Tanzania? Okay. An example of a sentence that uses this word is that we were traveling to Africa and we saw this very cute what was. So I'm giving the LLM the question and also the answer at the same time, even before I come to the point that now I have to ask a question. Okay, now I ask, to do a little further, we have fardiddle, which means to jump up and down really fast. Okay, now based on this, give us an example of a sentence which uses this word. Now, if I ask this, it will give me a response, which means that uh, here's the answer: the children would fardiddle with excitement every time the ice cream truck man came by. So, what is happening here is that I'll just explain this. Okay, I'll just copy this, go back to a new Gemini, give me an example. Okay, right over here, give me an example sentence that is the fardiddle is. Okay, so it will tell me the fardiddle is not a standard English word, but it has been used in examples. Okay, because it has learned on this. But ideally, this is the answer, right? It is not a standard English word. But if you go back and see over here, because we are using few short, because we are forcing our model to understand what we're trying to ask by giving question answers as an example, the model does improve on some responses. Okay, so similar to this, there are a few other ways in which we talk about improving prompting, one of which is right over here, known as chain of thought prompting. So this was introduced much in the, I think, mid 2020, some 2 years back from now. This prompting enables complex reasoning capabilities into the model. Okay, so you can combine it with few shot, you can combine it there and get much more better results. Okay, so these are much better advanced prompting techniques that you can use. Okay, so for an example, in the left we compare a standard prompt that Roger has 5 tennis balls. He buys 2 more cans of tennis balls. Each can consists of 3 tennis balls. So ideally, He has 11. How many tennis ball does he have? The answer is 11. Now, the cafeteria had 23 apples. They used 20 to make lunch, okay? And they bought 6. So, ideally, I think they have just 9 apples. How many apples do they have? The idea is the model is giving us the answer. The answer is 27, okay? Well, it did fail miserably over here. So, the chain of thought prompting, it somewhere, upgrades your few shot. We repeat the same question. Roger has 5 tennis balls. He buys 2 more cans of it. Each has 3 tennis balls. How many does it has? We are not just simply giving away the answer as 11. We are giving the reasoning to it. We are giving it some thoughts. We are giving it a chain of thought. Okay, chain means we are giving few shots, and in few thoughts we are giving it a chain to think through. So Roger started with 5 balls. Okay, 2 cans of 3 tennis ball each, which means 5 plus 6 equals to 11. Hence, the answer is 11. Now we have the same question again, that the cafeteria has 23 apples. If they use this, bought 6, how many do they have? Now look at the way model is responding. The model is saying the cafeteria had 23 apples originally. They used 20 to make lunch. So first let's deduce this. 23 minus 20 is 3, and they bought 6 more. So it means now they have 9 apples. So that's the idea in which how the chain of thought, then tree of thought, and then rag and other ways in which the prompt improves on works. Okay, so there is some zero shot, and then there is a few shot chain of thought. But you already know now what is few shot. You already know what is zero shot. You already know what is chain of thought. Okay, so that's the overall idea about how the prompts are supposed to work. So you can utilize prompts to do really interesting things. So for example, if I go to any website, okay, how moon gravity works, okay. So for an example, if I have tides, okay, so this is the NASA's article. If I go to the Gemini, let me start off a new Gemini over here. I can say, take this article, okay, I'll give it the URL and generate the summary, you can say precise and short, okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll add up the tool, okay. I don't have URL context over here. Let me copy this. Let me take it to AI Studio. Let me go to home. Let me start a new app. Okay, not a new app. Okay, let me go back. Build. Let me build a new chat. Okay. Okay. Chat with models right over here. Okay. Now I will say Gemini flashlight, and I'll give this, and I'll start the URL context. Now, the idea here is that if I am good at prompting, if I am good at explaining model, what do I want? See, I told I need a summary, precise and short, okay? Uh, Not more than 1 minute read time, okay? I'm letting the model be free. I'm letting the model do my work, okay? I'm letting the model read this article for me and give me the summary. So I can simply use it. I can reduce the temperature a little bit and then run. Now the model will go to this website, take up all the content, study it, and do magical things for me. Here it is. The moon's gravity causes bulge on Earth's oceans, creating high tides, and this and this, this and this. All right. So if this works for me, well enough, my task is done. And there are many more ways in which we can use the LLMs to get things done for us, right? So I hope you really had an interesting session today. You learned a little bit about large language models, what they're supposed to be, how do they train, how do they learn, what does it mean by transformers, what is generative AI, some of the jargons we did, like what is CNN, RNN, they are deep learning models. Uh, since they had limitations to fit in the context, uh, we build up the transformers. which is the something that solves the context lens problem, and it can take more dimensions from a given text. That is where generative AI comes into picture. Generative AI generates new content for us based upon the training data. We now know what is GPT. Okay, it is nothing but a type of a transformer architecture. Okay, decoder based architecture which generates content for us. What is chat GPT? What is the concept of agents? We learned about it. We discussed how the transformers actually work, the encoder decoder. Okay, and how it trains, and then we discuss few things about prompting, that how we can improve our prompts by learning few basic techniques. The next installment of this series, that is, now we will be understanding what are APIs, and we'll also at the same point try to leverage some of the AI tools. So when I say some of the interesting AI products, I talk about things like N8N and much more tools which are quite possible. And these tools, they have taken market to a crazy level because of the kind of solutions that are possible with them, right? So don't worry, I'll walk you through a simple RAG pipeline. I'll help you understand how N10 works and how you can install this system, use it on cloud, use it on your local machine, and in fact help you derive a local RAG pipeline. Like, just walk you through a little bit of it, okay? Giving you some examples. So now let us take, for an example, an introduction to APIs first, okay? Because we are keeping the goal to not code something, okay? We are keeping the goal to keep the session less technical in terms of programming, but more useful in terms of understanding the basics of computer engineering, right? That now we have fair enough advantage that we know how LLMs work, okay? Although we are not diving deep into mathematics, we are not diving deep into the architectural discussion. We have not exactly, to be very honest, discussed the roles of embedding query key value correctly. But yes, the point is that we have discussed how transformers work. We have discussed that what encoder is. Encoder is supposed to take our input, convert it into some computer-friendly language. Decoder is supposed to understand that language because decoder understands that. That's the design of decoder, and it is able to decode and translate. Maybe if translation is the job, maybe summarization is the job, right? So we know that things like BERT model are good at the information compression or information understanding or extraction. Okay, things like from NLP layers, NER, BERT is really good at that. Okay, to detect something, to extract something. Okay, whereas the decoder models such as the GPT models, they are really great at generating text, okay, to generate response, which is where most of the chat models, most of the APIs, sorry, the OpenAI models are based on the GPT series, right? So now that we have that understanding, we fairly at a very high level understand what machine learning is. We understand what deep learning is. We take our input, we train a model. The model is designed for a specific task. It does the output, right? Now is a good time to introduce ourselves to the concept of application programming interface, APIs. Okay, we will talk about it soon. So the thought is that first, let us try to take an analogy. Okay, we will try to take one particular example. So say on a typical day, we have a waiter, say by the name of Alice. Okay, now this waiter is supposed to do a particular task. The waiter is working for a restaurant. Okay, so in the restaurant, the waiter is supposed to take the request from the user. Okay, so the user can come in and ask, say that, hey, can you please give me maybe you can say a margarita pizza with double cheese, okay, and no spices on top of it, please. Okay, now that's the idea, that's the order. So what the waitress or the waiter can do is they will take this order, they will go into the kitchen, and they will maybe say, table number 10, customer a double cheese pizza with no toppings of chili spices on that, right? Okay, now the chef will understand this part. Chef will definitely take up this request. Chef will say, okay, I'm preparing this order. Once the order is prepared, they will give it to the Alice. Now Alice or the waitress or the waiter, he or she will be quite well acquainted with what they have to do with the order. They will exactly take it back to the table number 10 to the customer A, and they will give it back. Okay, that's the idea. Now, similar to this service, we have many different type of interfaces. Okay, so one common interface that we can talk about is the ISA. Okay, which is instruction set architecture. Now, when we talk about ISA, it is mostly used between the hardware and the software level. Okay, so somewhere between the operating systems. So that's what I would say. So if I have to show you, basically, just let me quickly bring up my sketch pen. Okay, just a minute. I'll just load it up. Okay, I think we are all set. So for an example, if we have, let me draw this. So if we have, say, hardware. Okay, now we all understand what hardware is supposed to be. I'm talking about the motherboard, which contains the RAM, CPU, the PCI slots, the bus, the memory, the graphic card, and storage and everything. Okay, so between the hardware and the you can say the layer of operating system. Okay, so this is your OS operating system. There exists the layer of interface. This layer is known as ISA. Okay, now which helps the operating system communicate with the hardware before going back to the software level. Okay, so softwares can request operating system that if they want something, maybe they want to access the storage, they want to access the hard drive, they want to store some variable. Maybe we are running a Python code that declare variable x equals to 3, so they have to store somewhere this variable 3 in the memory on the hardware, right, which is in the RAM. So with the help of this set of instructions, the things are able to communicate with each other. Okay, so very similar to this, there exists yet one more type of communication, which is known as application programming interface, or APIs. Okay, now APIs are the intermediary between two different softwares. ISA is intermediary between the hardware and the operating system, and the applications. Similarly, for applications, we have APIs. Okay, so what are applications to begin with? Applications could be any piece of software, could be any piece of a Python script, Python project, a backend server, or any program, any code, any logic, any algorithm that I have developed and I have hosted it somewhere. Okay, as simple as a Python function which accepts two integers, returns back the addition. So I could build an API on top of it. Okay, so what does API does is that firstly I learn programming. Okay, I learn how to write the syntax of the program, the programming language. Then I learn how to do coding. Okay, I learn to write some different logics. Then I start off with learning functions. I design certain functions. For example, I design something that is like addition function. Okay, I declare a function def addition. I declare that it takes certain integers and returns something on top of it. Okay, now this function is capable to do this task for me. But what if I have to expose this function as a service, so that other softwares or other applications or other anything external can use this? Okay, so which is where API comes into picture. Okay, so APIs help us convert our functions into maybe a platform where people can utilize this function. Okay, so APIs does that work. Okay, so it helps exchange information. Okay, it helps share data, it helps get the useful work done between through communication between different softwares. Okay, so we can relate to our example of the cafe back with the API, that the customers are the software of the applications which are requesting our service, whereas our waitress or waiter here is the exact API. So API is the mediator, or you can say intermediate person between the service request and service provider. Okay, someone who is requesting the service and someone who is providing the service. The API handles that communication. Okay, now again, we are not going to talk a lot about different type of APIs, because then there could be REST API, remote procedure calls APIs, okay, WebSockets, and so on. But the idea is that APIs, what are these? APIs are some methods through which we can expose our functions, our methods, our services for other softwares to consume. Okay, so now why are we talking about this? Okay, because the most common thing that any developer can use in day-to-day life are some APIs. Okay, in fact, we use APIs a lot in our day-to-day life. Even if I have to take up my phone and I have to ask, maybe what is the weather today, I am hitting some company's API which gives me the report of weather. Okay, so someone has written a program, someone has written a service which can extract weather details for me, and that's why I'm using it. For example, if I have to Google something, I maybe I'm using Google Documents, I'm using Google Sheets. Every time I'm hitting these servers, I am hitting their APIs, I am getting response back. I go to websites like Flipkart, Amazon, Netflix, wherever I'm hitting, whichever application I'm opening. Internally, I am calling small segments of their code which are hitting their internal APIs and giving me back whatever I want. Okay, so I think APIs are so common, APIs are everywhere that you cannot miss the scope of understanding what APIs are. Okay, yet the concept being rather simple. The idea is that APIs help softwares talk to each other. Okay, now in our interest, we have certain APIs that we can talk about. Something like OpenAI. Okay, so firstly, let me take you to OpenAI. Okay, so in this case, let me do up an incognito tab and take you to OpenAI. Okay, so when we go to OpenAI, okay, this is the website openai.com. Okay, now suppose if I have to register or log in here, maybe let me go to OpenAI login. Okay, let me get back on the whiteboard if we are done with it. Yes, let me bring back my keyboard. Cool. Okay, now if we go to this OpenAI and we click on login right over here. Okay, so let me click on login, and this is where do you want to go? Where do you want to go, to ChatGPT, the Sora model, or the API platform? As soon as I click on platform.api.com, okay, so for now, I think I have my email ID registered, but you can simply sign up using your own email ID. Okay, for example, something like this, you can hit in your password and you are good to go. Okay, so for example, just imagine that I have just signed up on my API. Okay, I have just signed up on my platform. So what I have to do is, maybe if I go back to this platform, you can just simply go to not just billing, sorry, you can go to the API keys. Okay, now in the API keys, this is where you will see on the top right, there's a white key which says create a new secret key. Okay, now when you click on create a new secret key, it will ask you to name this key. Maybe I'll say demo API key. Okay, and which project do you want to do it? Maybe it will be optional for you. As soon as you click on create secret key, it will create a secret key API for you. If you see, I have two simple API keys mentioned over here. Okay, now you can in fact just log out from this. Okay, I can try to log in with different account, show you the entire process somewhere else. For example, if I continue with Google, okay, let me continue with Google, and I'll just reach my platform. Okay, so this is the platform where I am, and if I go back to the dashboard, I go to API keys, and here I can create a new secret key. As soon as I click on it, my I'll say test key. Okay, project. So this is what I was telling you, that if you do not have a project already available that you're working on, it will be a default project for you. That is fine. What kind of permissions do you want? Keep it all by default, and you can just click on create key. That will create a key for you. Okay, I cannot show you the complete key obviously, and I do not even want it. I'll just, you can copy it from here, copy and save it somewhere accessible. Okay, remember, you can only see this key once in your life. So if you do not copy it correctly, you will have to do something that I'm going to do. You will have to just delete the key, revoke access, and create a new key so that you can copy it now. Okay, so just remember, the goal is that you need to correctly copy the secret key correctly, and you have to make one key. Now the OpenAI will not work until and unless you have some credit recharge with you. If you see currently, November I have not spent anything, total spent zero, but I have to do some recharge to begin with. Okay, so if I go to usage, you will find billing section very soon. Okay, and in the Okay, just let me wait. Let me go back to API reference. Let me go back to my dashboard. API keys, usage page. It's always a little trickier to find billing. Okay, let me just try to see if I can find billing from here. Page not found. Okay, wait just a second. I'll go back to the dashboards. Mhm. Okay, just a second. Let us go back to OpenAI recharge account. Usually there's a billing billing okay, account slash billing. Okay, yes, here it is. Okay, so if you see, you just have to go to your settings. In the settings in the organization, you will find billing right over here. Okay, so on the billing page, you will have to add firstly your payment method. Okay, and if you click on overview in the billing section. Okay, if you click on so remember the path: settings, organization, billing. Okay, if you go over here in the overview, you will realize that currently I have $0 over here, but you just need to click on add credit balance. Need to mention how much, select your credit card, debit card, click on continue. It can take up some platform fee. It usually does take some platform fee, and you're good to go. So even something as small as $5, $10 is more than enough to get you started. Okay, now for people who do not want to spend money while learning, I've always told you that you always have the option to go to AI Studio, which is by Google. Okay, Google does not charge you anything. It gives you free trial. So on the Google page, if you see on the bottom left, you will see Get API Key. And on the Get API Key, of course, this has some free tier limit, but it is more than enough. I'll say that the free tier limit is more than enough. You see, I'm on free tier, created on September 29. This is my API key. I cannot show you, but you can create one key from here. Name it something like test key or whatever you want to call it. Select a crowd project. In case you do not have one, you can select my first project, an end tutorial, whatever, and just create a secret key, copy it, the same process. Okay, so I have walked you through the process on both the OpenAI and the you can say Gemini. Okay, so once you have done that, now let us talk about one of the platforms that we want. So this is the API key, and now we also understand what APIs are supposed to do. Uh, okay, so why do we need API key? Let's answer that part. Okay, so if you see, API keys are a way of authenticating that you are allowed to use our services. So any platform like OpenAI or Google's Gemini models, they are somewhere on this world, somewhere on this earth, hosted somewhere, right? There exists some computer on this planet which is actually running the Google Gemini or the OpenAI's ChatGPT models, right? Now, the problem is, how do you add security? How do you authenticate who can use it and who cannot? So these API keys are like your authentication passwords. Okay, these are like your security layers that whenever you hit these servers, okay, you can always hit the OpenAI and Gemini server, but these API keys are smart enough to validate whether do I have to entertain this person or not. Okay, so for an example, if a club says no stag entry allowed, so unfortunately bachelors or males cannot directly enter the club because we have bouncers to do a security check that you are not allowed inside the club as a stag entry. Okay, you have to pay some fees, only then you are allowed. So when you pay a fees, maybe you get some authentication, you get a band, you get some sticker, or you get some pass that you can show to the bouncer that hey, I am allowed to enter the club now, and will you let me in? Okay, so if the authentication works, things work for you. So That's the idea. Why do you have to first sign up? You have to first pay. You have to create an API key, even if you are not paying, just to make sure that you're a valid user, you're coming with valid credentials. The Gemini would, or any other good API would request you to have some authentication key with you at your end. Once you take it, then you can go to platforms like N8N. Okay, so whenever you go to N8N login, it will ask you to create an account name. But if you do not have ever been on N8N, this is the process you can do. You can sign up. So while signing up, what is your workspace owner email ID? Okay, so xyz at the rate xyz.com, something like this. You click on send magic link. So an email might have been sent to xyz@xyz.com, but I already have an account with me. So for example, if I click on this and click on send magic link, the magic link is sent to me. Okay, so if I click on Gmail, okay, let me bring in my other email ID, other browser where this is. Okay, so you will see you have received a magic link 0 minutes ago. Hi Gaurav, please find this magic link to sign into your N8N account. As soon as I click on it, I directly get signed in. Okay, but for the people who are signing in for the very first time, the N8N will ask you for a short survey. N8N will ask you for your first name, last name, how did you hear about N8N, what kind of things you will build on N8N, what is your email ID, maybe set up a password, things like that. Okay, so that's the cloud platform of N8N, how you can use it. But again, if you are planning to use it locally, you will have to install N8N install locally. Okay, as soon as you click on it, there are a few different ways in which you can install N8N, either through a Docker or you can do npm install. So the idea is that if you want to install N8N on your computer locally, which is open source and free, you'll have to first install Node. Okay, so install a Node on in Windows. Okay, so you have to first install Node.js package in your Windows, and in order to do that, one simple way is either you can follow this, but if you do not want to follow this, you're feeling lazy, and the smart way is to download a pre-built Node.js package. Okay, just simply install this windows.msi installer. As soon as you click on it, in the download sections, you will see that the download has started. Just click on it, do next, 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 and there you go. A very straightforward, very simple installation, no trouble at all. Anyone should not have a trouble at all in installing this, and you are good to go. Once you have installed this, come back here, hit your terminal. Okay, Windows R. Okay, CMD, uh, let it pop up. Okay, npm dash dash version. This should work for you. Npm should work. If npm is working, assuming you've installed Node correctly, you can just npm install Node and npm run build when you're ready to test, and npm link. Okay, now once you're done, I think this is the command that you need to hit in your terminal. I'll say N8N start. Okay, so when I click on N8N start, it will run a code internally. It will start up, it will spin off N8N locally. Okay, N8N is already running in one of my some of the terminal. Okay, let me check. Here it is on the on this. Okay, let me close it, clear. I'll say N8N start. Okay, let me see if the N8N is coming up. Yes. You can click O to open up the browser, and this is localhost 5678 N8 and running. Now, in the N8N, we can simply create certain workflows. For example, if I click on here, create workflow, this is the base platform. This is the default platform in which you can design automations. Okay, so we are going to do something really interesting. We are going to spin off our RAG platform right here. So we learned about the transformers. We learned about how LLMs work. We learned that LLMs are really good at doing RAG for us. So why not start off with RAG? Okay. So on the right side, you will see that there are some open node panels. By the way, you can also hit tab from your computer by pressing tab. It should get you the window open. Okay, if you're not able to see these icons, but if you click on this plus icon, you will see which trigger or trigger step do you want to add in this node. You can simply search for rag, and you will see by default n10 gives us a rag starter template. Okay, so if I click on the rag starter template, I'll just land up here. Okay, now okay, what it is supposed to do for us. So load your own data into a vector database, okay? Load data flow and then use your data to chat with the model. So quick start is that you execute the workflow button on the run load data node and click on open chat and you are good to go. So for more information you can read about here, but let me walk you through this entire tab, okay? So here are embeddings. So the insert and retrieve operation use same embedding. So this is to ensure that you're using the same embeddings to answer the query, uh, the one you use to store your documents also. Okay, what does this mean? I'll tell you quickly. Okay, I'll walk you through this entire process. I'll recap what is RAG for you. Okay, I'll do everything for you. So if you look ideally, for the people who are using the N10 for the very first time, when you click on this, you can add certain nodes. For example, if I have to add Google Sheet, I can search for Google Sheet, and what do I do? If I have to create a spreadsheet, I can click over here, okay, and the operation is create. What is the title? Okay, some spreadsheet, okay. Do you want to add some sheet? I'll say okay, add sheet 1 and few more things. But before you could do this, okay, you'll have to make sure that you have credentials to do it. So remember how we created credentials for OpenAI? Similarly, we need to create credentials for Google OAuth also. But I do not want to expand there and teach you how to create these credentials, although they are very straightforward. But let me show you something with the OpenAI, okay, OpenAI chat model, okay. So OpenAI chat model, what you'll have to do is, the very first thing you'll have to do is create new credentials for yourself. So if you click on create new credentials, this is where you will paste your API key, okay. So my API key, whatever it was, like SKJ-F7JO, whatever it was, okay, whatever it was, you can paste right over here, okay. So whatever is your API key, I'll assume that there is something like this. This is your API key, okay. Organization ID optional, okay. Base URL optional, leave it as it is. Since we are using OpenAI, the only thing we need is the API key. Now you can save it. Obviously it will fail because the API key is not correct, okay. But in our case, let me show you back to canvas. uh, I just wanted to show you how do you add some node, okay. I am already showing you a workflow for RAG. So we have OpenAI chat model coming in right over here. Let me double click on it, okay. I have an OpenAI account too, which I just created in front of you. It is not the correct account, but OpenAI account. I pasted the correct API key over here, and it is good to go. I can say execute. Okay, well that's fine. But if my API key is correct, okay, if my API key is correct, the account should work for me. Now, how does this thing work? So there is one particular node known as upload your file here, okay. So you can search for upload, okay, or maybe like upload maybe a post, upload a photo, video, or things like that. We don't need this, we need a file, okay. So maybe you can extract file or search for different nodes, okay. So similarly, you can search for different nodes. I'm showing you, maybe read write files from disk. So this is something that you can use, okay. Maybe you can use Google Sheets, maybe you can use so many different type of nodes available over here to get your input data. So similarly, we are using one node. If I double click on it, okay, you will see that this is running on a local host at this point, okay, because we are hosting it locally. Otherwise, it would have been n10.cloud platform and something. Authentication, we don't need any authentication. What does authentication mean? We'll skip it for now since this is not an n10 tutorial. This is a tutorial to show you how you can use LLMs in your workflows, okay. Title is upload your data from test track. You can name it whatever you want, okay. You're adding one field which is to upload file, and the element is file type, okay. So let me execute this step. Whenever I execute this step, it will open up this platform for me. Remember, this is the local host. I told you this is the platform where we are running this now. I can choose a file. For example, if I choose anything like maybe my resume for now, okay, and submit it. You will realize that form submitted successfully. I can close this window now, and yes, I have received the file right over here. So this node is working for us. Next is insert data into store. So this is insert data into store node. Okay, so this is simple vector store. So you can always search this node over here, simple vector store. Okay, this is the exact node that we have built over here. Okay, so the very first one was simply an form trigger. Okay, so now you understand what is form. So if you search on form, you will get this n node. If you search on vector, you will search for simple vector store. So what the simple vector store does for us is that simple vector store takes in the operation what we are doing, get many. So are we ranking documents, are we retrieving? And no, we are inserting documents into database. Okay, that's our thing. Now which memory key are we using? We are using vector store key, that is fine. Embedding size is 200 for now. Well, what is the embedding size? Remember I told you that the computer will take up your text and convert it into a vector space, which is like that square brackets numbers in it. That's the computer way to read your strings. Okay, so what is the size, what is the depth of that? Well, large models, they have bigger size, smaller models, they have smaller size. So for experiment you can leave it as it is. Okay, you can leave things as it is. Only thing is you need to give an embedding model. So to give an embedding model, you can simply search for if you are using Gemini, what you can do is you can use Gemini's embedding model. Remember, for all the students who are following without paying anything, you do not want to invest in OpenAI, you are free to swap this particular example with the Gemini embeddings. Okay, and make sure that you use the same embedding model for both the connections as shown over here, even while inserting and even while retrieving. Okay, but for the people who will be using OpenAI, you can simply search for the embedding OpenAI model, which we have placed over here. Okay, you can just add this node over here, and what you can do is you can just draw this connection to this point. Okay, you connect it. Now the next thing is we need a default document loader. So what does this mean is that document loader. So GitHub document loader, we don't need it. We need the default document loader, which is mentioned right over here. So what document loader does for us is that it will read our incoming files. Okay, so format, it will by now it is mentioned that automatically detect the format, but it can be restricted to only use CSV, doc, PDF, text. Okay, these are the supported documents that this default loader can do. So it can read the content of the files that we are uploading. Okay, and the data that we are doing is binary. Okay, that's what we will keep it. Load all input data, that's the kind of mode. So by default you don't need to touch a lot of things. When you are learning RAG, you don't need to touch a lot of things. The only sole goal over here is that you will realize that I need a default data loader. Okay, I'll connect it over here. I need an embedding model, I'll connect it over here, and this is the insert data tab. Okay, so what I can do is I can click on insert data. So you will realize that insert data node has successfully executed. What it has done is it has taken up the application, and you will realize this is the page content, name Gauravdeep, experience around 5 years, machine learning. This is the companies, and it has taken up a lot of the page content, and it has delivered the same. See, this is the page content it has extracted. Page content, some more things coming in from the PDFs. Okay, some more things coming from the PDFs. Okay, so everything from my resume has been read, and it has been converted into embeddings. Okay, now if you see the embedding models, this is the response. Okay, you can see the document 0, 1, 2, 3, these are different chunks. Okay, we have different chunks, and each chunk has its own vector form available in front of it. Okay, now the next thing is, now we need a retriever flow. So for retriever flow, obviously we need a chat module. Okay, so when you can click on chat trigger, so this is the chat trigger. You can select this node. Okay, so we have a chat trigger node already over here, and then you need an AI agent. So you can click on AI agent node, and you will find AI agent node, and you can join your chat trigger to the AI agent node. Now AI agent requires a chat model, it requires memory, it requires tools, which tools are optional. You can give in the default memory, you can give in the default query tool to be merged in the RAG flow. Okay, so what we will do is, in the AI model we need to give a chat model. So I can take up open AI chat model. Okay, I'll use the first credentials because second one were just dummy to explain you. Foro mini is fine with me. I'll go back to canvas. I'll place the chat model over here. I'll connect this node. Okay, so now we have a chat model also, and we can say, we can test this workflow. Okay? I'll say hi, and I'll say this. Okay, now node executed successfully. Let us see how the AI agent will respond. AI agent is executing, and it is giving me how I can assist you today. Okay, uh, is Gaurav, uh, okay, let us say, how much experience does Gaurav has. Okay, question mark. Let us hit this query, and the chat model is retrieving, and it is using our query data tool, and the node has executed successfully. Okay, so Gauravdeep has around 4.5 years of experience in the field of machine learning data science, and he has worked full time in companies like this, and he's at a senior post in the Think Future Technologies, and so on. Okay, so a great answer, I would say, but I think this is all for now, and I think this is the beauty of how you can use the large language models to do so much for you, right? So if you realize, we have just created our own chatbot which works on our own data. Now, if I was supposed to publish this, what I would do is I would make this flow active. Okay, and I would simply, uh, although um, this is fine, this was a tutorial, but I'm just showing you. I can just simply share this. Okay, and once I share it, I need to see plans, because hosting something is paid on N10. Okay, so for now it is fine. We could add more security, we could add more authentications for someone who can use our chatbot, but this is the magic, people. This is the real magic of how we can leverage large language models in real life, in real examples. We just covered one of the most demanded example on the planet in the tech industry right now, which is to create personalized chatbots which can leverage your company data. Now, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the session. I hope that you were able to make sense that there are many no code, low code platforms. We have Replit, we have N10, we have so many more tools that I can exhaust the list with, which are really good. Maybe you can just design UIs using AI. You can develop applications. You can develop web application, Android applications, iOS applications. Okay, you can develop maybe some tools for you. You can do automations. You can make a lot of workflows, automate your email understanding, maybe generate summaries, do whatnot. There are endless possibilities that can be done, delivered, and are required. People are making money out of N10. Okay, people are making some interesting use cases, workflows, selling their workflows on the markets. So this is the inspiration for you all, people, that you can start off with N10. You can start off with other platforms. Okay, the idea was just to explain you how the LLM is really used in real world cases. So you can take up any of this, and good to go with that. So I hope this session on how the large language model works. Okay, what are the basic, what is encoder, what is decoder, what are transformers, and how do GPT models work, what is Gemini, what is OpenAI, and some jargons like what is RAG, what is hallucination, what is large in a large language model. uh, Things like this are clear to you, and you thoroughly enjoyed this session. I would really appreciate feedbacks, be it positive, be it negative. They all are important. I'll tell you, especially the negative feedbacks are very more important because negative feedbacks help us improve the session for you. Okay, so I am a kind of a trainer who would be more interested to have more negativity around me so that I can actually make sense out of it. I can improve my uh, delivery, my way of communication, my way of teaching. Okay, I get it. Sometimes I could be a little fast paced. Sometimes I could be stuck on some repetition parts. But yes, uh, I sometimes do it for people to make you understand things again and again. And I always keep on improving with the feedback. So that's really important, people. I hope you had the best time at you can say learning through this part. And if you have any queries, any doubts, feel free to reach at maybe the chat section. You can drop us a mail, you can connect with the Let's Upgrade team. And all the very best to all of you. Thank you. Tata, bye bye, sayonara.